So I understand this wasn't the prettiest win because Milwaukee didn't have Giannis and the Heat were literally trying their best to blow this game at the end. They were trying to gift wrap a W and just hand it to the Bucks. I understand that. And I also understand that they made Miles Turner look like prime Hakeem Olajuwon for a large chunk of the game. I get all that, but none of that really matters because I passed my test, baby. Let's go. That's right, y'all. For those of y'all that have been following the channel the last few months, you know I've been studying really hard to pass my professional engineering exam, and I did. I got the results earlier today, and I was shocked, but pleasantly surprised. So I just want to thank y'all for the support and the well wishes, but enough about me. Y'all don't care about that. Y'all care about the Miami Heat taking down the Milwaukee Bucks, and yes, it was an ugly win, but a huge win nonetheless, because now the Heat moved to 13-6 on the season. That's 7 games over 500, which is very, very impressive. And maybe even more importantly, they pushed the Bucks to 8-11. That's 3 games under 500. I understand Giannis has missed a lot of the season as well. He'll probably be back on Friday. But if you're like me and you're enjoying the Heat's success this season, certainly. But if in the back of your mind, you're also still rooting for the Bucks' demise because you want Giannis Antetokounmpo to request a trade, then every single loss for that team matters. And the more they get in the hole, the more they dig deeper under 500. That's another day that Giannis is thinking, hey, maybe I can't win in Milwaukee again. Maybe I should get out of here. And the way the Heat young guys are playing right now, I certainly think the Heat have more than enough assets to convince Giannis Antetokounmpo to come back down here and also give the Bucks a package that they would find worth it. Maybe that's a lame way to start the video because we're sitting here, the Heat are on a 6-game winning streak playing really well, and I'm talking trades. But hey, that's honestly because I really believe in this team. And I think they are now one piece away from fitting into here to really being a potential contender in the NBA. I mean, even as is right now, can this team make the NBA Finals? You know, it's something we were joking about a couple of weeks ago when they were playing well, had the highest paced offense. But now that you're back and you got, dare I say, everybody healthy, they look scary. And I just can't help but think if a team like the Indiana Pacers could go to the finals last year, why not the Miami Heat? You know, maybe the Heat can't win it. Maybe they can't beat the OKC or Denver Nuggets. But who in the East is substantially better than the Miami Heat? I don't think anybody is. And definitely not from a record standpoint, except for the Detroit Pistons, who we will be seeing in our next game on Saturday. So time will tell very soon if we could compete with the elites of the Eastern Conference, which right now is Detroit. So I'm very curious how that game's going to go on Friday. But what we're seeing right now is one of the deepest teams in Heat history. Not one of the best teams, certainly, because the high-end talent is not as good as when you had the big 3 teams or Jimmy Butler or Timmy and Zoe and whatever. But in terms of guys that you trust to be out there without the offense or defense giving up, you know, or settling or being worse, I guess, than the opposition, this is one of the deeper teams because you really trust everybody out there, you know, 10 to 11 deep. And that begs the question, what the hell is Eric Spoelstra going to do? And I think the whole talk of the starting lineup / what the rotation should be is going to be a large chunk of this video because I don't necessarily agree with everything Spoelstra did today in terms of the rotation, but I do understand that it's going to be a work in progress. Obviously, you got guys back from injury today. Norm came back from the groin. Wiggins came back from the hip. You had Nikola Jovic also available after his hip injury. He didn't even play. That's going to be a whole other discussion because, you know, as good as the Heat front office did putting together this roster, paying Nikola Jovic that extension this past offseason is looking like a massive mistake, considering we're less than 20 games into the season and he's already getting coach's decision DNPs. And I don't even agree with it because when he did play, he stunk. You know, my guy Brendan Tobin used to say, Jovic, dude. Well, now I'm changing it to Jovic, ew, because he stinks. And I can't believe we got to pay him $15 million. I'm not saying it's all over for him, obviously. You know, I'm using a bit of hyperbole here. I understand he's very young, and I get that progression is not linear. You know, you're not going to be in a constant path upward of improvement. We saw Jaime Jaquez stink last year. Now he comes into this season, he looks awesome. I get it, right? But just because progression isn't linear doesn't mean you're supposed to go from playing to completely out of the rotation. Like, that's a bad sign for Jovic. I don't know what to tell you. He gets the extension, and we're already here a month into the season, and he's literally out of the rotation. That's a that's a big drop off, a bigger drop off than I would have wanted. But anyways, I can't blame Spo for not playing Jovic today. I can blame him for some of the other stuff we saw, including the starting lineup, which had its moments, but I just think defensively it was pretty bad a lot of the times, as Milwaukee was mismatch hunting quite a bit. But like I said, you got to give these guys a little bit of time to mesh. You got to give Spo some time to not only figure out what he wants to do with the starting lineup, but what he wants to do with the rotations. And also, if he decides he wants to change the starting lineup on a game-by-game basis. If Giannis would have played today, would he have started Khalil Ware to get some more size in there? If the other team had a more of an elite guard, which they really didn't, but is that when he would lean more towards Davion Mitchell in future instances? So I'm still letting it be known that I understand this whole situation can be fluid, so I don't really want to judge Spoelstra's decisions too hard because it will change, but I will at least acknowledge what I've seen so far, today. And I also will acknowledge that Spoelstra knows way more than I do. So although I'm sharing my opinion because that's why I have this YouTube channel, he knows more than me. He's seen practice. So at the end of the day, I have no choice but to trust him. And I love Spoelstra. That's why on FanDuel right now, which is the sponsor of today's video, I'm definitely going to throw a little bit more money on Spo to win Coach of the Year because I told y'all this a few days ago and it still has not changed. He is still plus 1,000 to win Coach of the Year, which I just think is incredible odds considering the record that this team has and the fact that Spo hasn't won it in the past, but he still does have a lot of love and recognition from the media. I do think this is his year to finally get that award. But we'll kind of get into the game a little bit so we could talk about some of these rotations. So, of course, you had everyone back today. The starting lineup is what I expected it would be. It was Davion, Tyler, Norman, Wiggins, and Bam. Me personally, I would have went with Davion, Norman's, Wiggins, Bam, and Ware. Just because I think Ware has been so damn good that he doesn't deserve to be taken out of the rotation. And also, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This Heat team got it off to such a great start this season, just scoring and overall record-wise. With that starting lineup or with those guys on the court at the same time, their on-off numbers this year are incredible. All that advanced data on that lineup specifically is awesome. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. It has nothing to do with Tyler Herro. It has nothing to do with Norman Powell. I just think Khalil Ware needs to be starting. So if you want to say, hey, you got to start Tyler Herro, he's Tyler Herro, I get it, then have Davion come off the bench. And also, I get not wanting to bench him because I've been giving Davion Mitchell a standing ovation every video. He leads the league in assists to turnover ratio and is an elite perimeter defender. That sounds like a guy that should be in the starting lineup. So again, this all goes to it being a difficult decision for Erik Spoelstra. That's why I personally would have just kept it how it is and have Tyler run the second unit. Him and Jaime could be a dynamic scoring punch off the bench. Jaime's high driving kicks to Herro would be awesome. Herro could provide the spacing for Jaime to get in the paint. I just think that could work really well. And we've seen Tyler Herro just dominate in the six-man role before in his career. So that's probably what I would have did. Or I guess you could have put Norm off the bench. It just sounds weird to say because Norm is having one of the most efficient shooting seasons in Heat history. It just doesn't make any sense to bench him either. But again, but Herro, I should mention, played awesome today. By far the Heat's best player today. He was sensational. But my issue is not having a double big in your starting lineup because we saw Miles Turner pretty much cook the Heat from the jump in the first quarter and also in the third quarter when we saw Wiggins play a lot of the power forward. The Bucks were mismatch hunting like crazy, and they got what they wanted pretty much every time down the court, as even Miles Turner today was super efficient on the day. Miles Turner finished with 24 points on 9 of 15 shooting. That's 60% from the field. And it's just Miles Turner shouldn't do that. You shouldn't let Miles Turner score as easily as he was today because, he only hit 1 3-pointer, So it's not like you were forcing him from outside. Pretty much everything he had was in the paint, and that's because of just the easy looks that he was getting because the Heat were switching everything. If you're going to go small, maybe play some zone then. I know that makes it a little bit harder to rebound as well, but maybe go zone, maybe try not to switch everything, try to fight over a few more screens, which is easier said than done. It's just like you can't go small and switch everything. It doesn't work and continue not to work. And there was times throughout this game where Miles Turner is feasting and I'm just sitting there staring at the game clock, staring at the score, watching the Bucks come all the way back and wondering when the hell is Spo going to put Khalil Ware in today, because Ware today, he only played 26 minutes. I just feel like it should have been more, especially the way he's been playing, because he was awesome today as well. But yeah, it's just once we did fortunately see a lot of times where Bam and Ware were in the game at the same time, and those lineups just did really great. Oh, we'll get into it a little bit. I've noted that the Bucks were mismatched hunting from the jump, and then Spo basically subbed in all the starters for 5 guys off the bench nearly at the same time. So for a while, they were running a unit of Drew Smith, Pelle Larsson, Jaime Jaquez, Simone Fontecchio, and Khalil Ware. And I didn't agree with that because I kind of thought the whole point of having a Norm and having a Tyler was to have one of them in the games at game at all times. And that's not what we saw tonight. Plus, I also think that at least if one of those guys was in there with Jaime, they could give him that spacing to drive and kick because there was a lot of times Jaime did what he does, which is drive and kick, but it was to Pelle bricking threes. It was to Drew Smith bricking threes. It was to Simone Fontecchio, who unfortunately right now is in as rough of a slump as they come. You know, he's a guy who might start to get phased out of the rotation, at least consistent rotation if he can't turn around. So I just think it would have been better to have one of those shooters in there with Jaime. But again, the rotation is a work in progress, and we did see all different kind of culminations of that throughout the game. But the Heat would still be up 2 after the first quarter. And then in the second quarter, there was about 8 minutes left, and that's when Spo brought back in Bam and Norman. And then it was nice to see that he didn't take out Ware. He didn't actually sub out Ware. So we saw that double big man lineup. And literally, as I was typing that note right here during the game, that Bam and Ware were in at the same time, that's when Bam threw a half-court lob to Khalil Ware, who laid it in. Like, looked like he barely even jumped and he still dunked it. It was awesome. It was a great play by those two. So they just have such a great chemistry, and I can't get enough of it. And I think it's a good thing for this team the more those two guys play together. And then it was with about 6 minutes to go in that quarter where we saw my preferred starting lineup, the one we've been seeing for the past few weeks. And that's when the Heat would go on their biggest run of the game. They would go up 9, and they just looked like they were clicking so well. And I just really like that unit of Davion, Norman, Wiggins, Bam, and Ware. But the Heat would go into halftime up 6 points. And then in the third quarter, that's when Miles Turner really had his best quarter of the game. Didn't see Khalil Ware for quite a while. The Bucks even came all the way back to take the lead at one point, but the Heat would end the quarter up as much as 4. And then going into the fourth quarter, that's when we kind of saw the Heat pull away. It was halfway through the quarter. There was this lineup of Drew Smith, Herro, Pelle, Wiggins, and Ware, and they went on a nice run to put the Heat up 12. I thought Tyler Herro was phenomenal during that stretch. And then it was with about 3 minutes to go where Spo would take out Khalil Ware with the Heat up 6. He'd put the starting lineup back in. And that's when the Heat started having trouble rebounding again. They couldn't stop anyone inside. And you started to see the Bucks come back. You know, the Heat had a few bad turnovers. And then it even came all the way back to Gary Trent having a chance to tie the game with a three-pointer with about a minute to go. That thankfully he ended up missing. So I just don't think that's the most well-rounded lineup. That's all. And Khalil Ware's been playing so well. He doesn't deserve to be taken out of the game as much as he did today. He doesn't deserve it. I do think Tyler Herro was really good down the stretch as well today. Norman definitely struggled a little bit, so it was a nice luxury to have. If one of the guys isn't going, you got the other guy. Herro had a great floater late in the game to make it a 2-possession game. Then had a beautiful not quite a pick and roll, but he looked like he was going to take a midi pull-up and then swung it to Bam rolling inside. Bam caught it and flipped it in with a push shot. So I just think Tyler Herro overall was awesome today late in the game. And they would not have won this game without him. So I just want to give him some credit there. Running through the box score here, Norman Powell had 11 points on 4 of 11 shooting. Really, the whole team shot poor today, specifically from 3. I know last game they shot pretty badly versus the Mavericks, and then today it wasn't any better. 10 of 36 from 3. That's only 28%. The whole Norman inefficiency, I don't know if that's him not having the ball in his hands as much with Tyler Herro, can't get as good a rhythm. I don't know if that's the groin injury. I don't know if it's just an off night. Time will certainly tell, so I don't want to overreact to that. Andrew Wiggins today had 11 points on 4 of 11 shooting, but I do think he provided some really solid defense. When we did see the lineup in the game, that's my preferred lineup, where your front court is Wiggins, Bam, and Ware. It was just so beautiful to see them truly be able to switch everything and not get cooked like they were when Wiggins was running the 4, because now you were seeing Ware hold his own on the 3s, 4s, and 5s, whoever Milwaukee had out there. Same thing with Andrew Wiggins, because if Wiggins is on the other team's big man for a play or two, I think he does do a nice job being able to contain them. He had a few nice strips on whether it was Bobby Portis or Jericho Sims or Miles Turner. He's good in moderation, so it does allow them to switch everything. But when he's always switched onto the 5 every single possession, then that's when you start to see things turn in the Bucks' favor. So yeah, I like the lineup in there when Wiggins is at the 3, because he is a 3. Stop playing the guys out of position, Spo. You have a pretty solid player at every position. Just play them at their position. That's just the way I look at it. Bam Adebayo today, 17 points and 11 rebounds. Not his most efficient nights, but I thought he was very active defensively. Tyler Herro today was easily a star of the game. 29 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 of 15 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. That is the one thing I want to see Tyler Herro improve on the most this season, is get to the line, and he definitely did that tonight. And I think he was awesome pretty much all around here. And it's really nice to see him look like he hasn't lost a step coming into the season, already a month or two late. So he's been a refreshing watch. And then Davion Mitchell today, only 2 points, but 9 assists to 3 turnovers. That is a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, which is always good to see. So shout out to Davion Mitchell. And then Drew Smith today had himself 1 assist to 1 turnover. So he's low-key been ruining my whole bit, my backcourt assist-to-turnover ratio bit, because Davion's been carrying that for quite a while now. But obviously, you don't expect Drew Smith to have as big a part in the rotation anymore. Still played 19 minutes tonight. I had 5 points. I had a big 3 in the third quarter once the game was tied to kind of keep the heat out of it. So I think Drew Smith has still played well. And no matter what, he's not going to lose his spot in the rotation entirely. Spoelstra loves him too much, and he's too good defensively, to really take out completely. So I thought he was good today. And then Jaime Jaquez today, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He was efficient. Only 17 minutes for him. So he looks like someone whose playing time was cut quite a bit, which I don't love. And that's not only because I have him to win 6th Man of the Year on FanDuel, but it's because I think he's a good player. I'd like to see him maybe play a little bit more and maybe phase out a guy like Simone Fontecchio, unfortunately. And then you had Pelle Larsson today, 8 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Another inefficient shooting day, 2 of 7 from 3. It's looking like he's regressing to the means a little bit after starting the season shooting better from 3. I don't think he's quite taken the leap as a shooter yet that we've hoped, which is fine. I didn't expect that leap to happen this soon into his career. Anyways, Fontecchio today only played 6 minutes. I think Spoelstra might try him a little bit early in every game, and if he doesn't have it going, he probably won't play much in the second half. He only had 2 points today. And then your bench player of the game, probably the Heat's second best player today after Tyler, was Khalil Ware with 11 points, 9 rebounds, 4-6 from the field, and he was the team high plus 16. Clap it up for Khalil Ware. We just posted a video yesterday. I did a film breakdown of Khalil Ware. It was called Doghouse to Dominant, because he really did go from a guy that Spoelstra did not want to play to a guy that I think Spo can't afford to take out of the rotation. So if you missed my film analysis yesterday, definitely go check that out. I think it's a great video. But we also did talk about him pretty consistently leading the team in plus minus, and that was again the case tonight, where he was a plus 16. And yeah, Bam Adebayo was a minus 11. Back-to-back games with some pretty poor plus minuses for Bam Adebayo, but point is, I think those two playing together is the optimal way to go. I really think so, especially when, Saturday, you're playing the Detroit Pistons, and Jalen Duren has been insane. Isaiah Stewart is an absolute beast on the board, and they got some other size there as well. So I don't think Saturday is a game that you want to go small. But anyways, we'll see what happens. I hope y'all have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see y'all with the post game in a couple of days. I'll be driving back over to Fort Lauderdale to see my family, so I'll make sure to bring all the equipment and stuff, because I got to get you a video after that big game. But in the meantime, make sure y'all go to FanDuel, where right now you can still get the Miami Heat with plus odds to win the Southeast Division. They're plus 210. That is worse odds than the Atlanta Hawks, who just lost to the Wizards yesterday. I've been telling y'all for months, make sure you get in and take the Miami Heat to win the Southeast Division, because they're literally leading it right now. And plus 210 is great odds for that. That's all I got to say for this video. Make sure y'all subscribe and leave your comments down below, because I'm very curious to hear what y'all think. That being said, I'll see you on the next video. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.